Hello, everyone. My name is Danny, and I'm really doing this review. Maya the Bee 2, The Honey Games. Yes, I'm really doing this, and it's a good movie. So, watch this review and appreciate it. Alright, here we go. After a slow harvest season, the very survival of the hive is threatened. Maya and her sidekick, Willie, go to Buzztropolis, where the Empress invites them to participate in the honey games. But if they lose, the hive will have to give the Empress all of their summer honey. Needless to say, Maya and Willie's teammates are neither enthusiastic nor athletic. But Maya remains positive and exclaims that every bug has a talent. Can Maya and Team Poppy win and secure her hive's future? Only if Maya is able to gain new friends and learn about teamwork, responsibility, and overcoming their differences. This is a 2018 film. I'm not seeing like a rating, but G to PG, whatever you want to say. It says not rated. It runs 85 minutes. So it's a very full hour and a half. It really, I was like almost thinking it went longer, and then all of a sudden, yep, it was only an hour and 25 minutes. So I'll try and get some of these names. It's kind of small. Coco Jack Gillies, Benson Jack Anthony, Richard Roxburgher, Justin Clark, Shane Dundas, David Collins, Linda Nago, Marnie McQueen, Rupert DeGoss. Some of the voice talents of this movie. There you go. Yeah. For anybody who doesn't know, the reason why I started a YouTube channel in the beginning was because I was keeping record of all the movies I was watching and all the shows I was watching and stuff. I wanted to be able to remember. So this thing up here is my 2018 finder for stuff for records, and I have been keeping them since about 2014. So I went back and I saw when I saw Maya the Bee movie, the first one. And that was back in 2015. I think it was about October or so. And I was able to look back at that, and I did give that movie a B. I'll just let you know I'm going to give this one a B+. So we can get that out of the way. You don't have to wonder if it's good or not. It's good. I'll get into my notes, but the first one, if you've never heard of this, I watched the first one back in 2015, I think it was then. Here about 3 years later, they're making the second one. So if you were wondering about that, that's that. The negatives about this movie is that there is a lot of name calling, and especially like right away I noticed it. It's the first thing I wrote down. And so for any parents out there or people wondering for the kids, it's not like noticeably bad, but there is some name calling. So if you don't want like any of that around your kids, you might just want to skip on by this movie. There's a little bit of sarcasm, and I know that's like the thing of today, and I'm actually kind of happy that Maya the Bee 2 put that into their movie, because that is how kids act a lot more today than, say, 10 years ago. So the thing that I wrote down, but there were other examples, is, oh, I'm Violet, I have purple hair, blah, blah, blah. That's when Maya wasn't getting her way, and she was starting to get a little angry at this girl named Violet. And so the symbolism, obviously, is, in the real world, people getting mad at each other and mocking them, and that's not a good lesson. But it is something very up-to-date for what is going on nowadays with kids, with the attitude and being mad at other kids and not knowing how to handle that, so they just mock the other person. That does happen a lot. So I just wanted to let you know. There is some over expectations. There's this one parent in particular, he plays a pretty vital role in the movie, I think you'll know who he is, that expects way too much from his daughter, obviously to win this competition. So I won't say who those are before you watch the movie because I want you to be a little bit surprised. It's a kind of a twist of the movie. But that's kind of a hard thing to explain to kids. And if they see that, I don't know how they're influenced by it. But it is kind of an important issue. Sometimes, kids nowadays, they're dealing with that about how they're expected to be so good. They're expected to achieve this status. They're able to, they're expected to be first in the competition. That's tough for people. I'm in the music world, and so I know how it is for high schoolers, being pressured to, get that solo and make that group so that in college you can be more successful. It's a tough lesson to really figure out and talk about when you're younger. So I'm always weary when movies have it as part of their movie because it's kind of a complex issue. And so I just want to let people know about this movie, that it has it. It really makes it vital for the movie to be important. And it has a lesson coming out of it. But it's kind of a tough issue to handle sometimes. And I think kids' movies can pretty much avoid it. But if they put it in there, it is kind of a heavy issue for parents and children to kind of talk about. And it might bring it up in some teenager's mind if they watch this movie. And then they might have to struggle with that issue. It might become aware that they are struggling with it. So, all right, on to the funny stuff. Right away, the first character that kind of got me is this bug that's supposed to be kind of a clean freak. And every time we have somebody like that, it's really a kind of a funny mantra of a character. And I kind of appreciated that Maya the Bee 2 kind of got a little bit more sophisticated and got some different characters that are all kind of have their own little gimmick. And the clean freak was kind of one of the best ones for me. And then it comes up with all these lessons. And I'm just going to kind of burn through them. You can take from it what you want. I hope everybody watches this movie and is inspired by one of these. But I was inspired by all of them. So here we go. Putting yourself before your team is not what you're supposed to do. It's all about team. There is no I in team. You're supposed to think about others before yourself. That's great. That's the lesson. I think that's really good to put out there for any kid to watch this movie and to hear that lesson. Very worth it. Taking responsibility for your actions. If it's going to be you complaining all the time, situation after situation after situation, eventually you've got to look back and realize that you might be the issue of things. So take responsibility for your actions, step up to the plate, and admit to people that it was your fault and apologize for all the destruction you've done. Great lesson. Believing in others. Not everybody around us is the greatest person. Talent-wise, brain-wise, maybe they didn't receive the same education as we did. You've got to believe that they have the best talent of some kind and they have the strive to get things done. They have the integrity, they have compassion. There's nothing wrong with any certain person. And I think that's a lesson that you're supposed to take away from that. And I think that's a great lesson. Doing good deeds. If we are to help each other along the way or see somebody in need and we actually help them out, that is great. Help them out. Do a good deed. It makes you feel better about yourself. Great lesson. Do what's actually right. No cheating. No looking the other way. No thinking about yourself more than the right situation that you're supposed to be doing. About being, ashamed of what you did so you don't want to make it right. Great lesson to learn. Great lesson. Very heavy, but very good lesson. I think any movie that has all this stuff in it is just kind of overloading your brain. It's almost an educational movie. And I just wrote all this stuff down, but sometimes you kind of enjoy it to just enjoy it. It has really, really good music in it. And I did not see that coming. The storyline was okay. It kind of reminded me of a Tinkerbell movie or something. But it had its own little flair. And I think that's what's great about Maya the Bee and Maya the Bee 2 is that they have their own taste and they have their own characters. They try to teach you right things a lot better than any other movie ever would. So totally try and give these movies a watch if you've never seen them. And I'm gonna give this one a B plus, obviously, but the way they've done these movies is kind of exceptional. The way they cut from scene to that person saying something and what they're going to say next comes from another person. It's a very smart movie. Obviously, the graphics are well done. They have so many bugs in this one that just kind of keep you entertained and keep you smiling. It's a very positive movie, so nothing really wrong with it. So try and enjoy it. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you watch this whole thing, I love critiquing kids' movies because a lot of them do have great lessons, like Maya the Bee does. So thanks a lot, guys. My name is Danny. If you like this or any of my other reviews, try and give some of them a watch. Like and subscribe to my channel if you would. And enjoy your movies, as always. Thanks.